What's up, potato chips? This is your girl, Jerry Nicole, your favorite couch potato. And today we have our littlest couch potato. Say hi, Journey. She's going to be with us for just a few seconds. She may pop up again a little later in the review. All right, you guys, I'm coming to you with another review in our catch-up series for Good Girl. So this is Season 1, Episode 3, entitled Borderline. So the girls have to go to Canada to pick up a package. Annie's stressed out about the social worker that's coming to visit for the custody case. And Ruby's hot under the collar about another woman who wants her man. So the episode opens up with Beth talking to the girls, telling them that the sexy local gangster wants them to go to Canada to pick up a package. Beth said, "He didn't tell me. He doesn't think we should know." So of course, automatically the thought is drugs. He's going to have us picking up drugs for him. We're going to have to smuggle drugs and put them through cavities in our bodies so that we don't get caught. Ruby's like, "No, it's guns." Annie's like, "Well, with guns, you don't have to put them up your body to smuggle them in." But Annie's like, "I got something to do. When does he want this done?" Friday is when he wants this done. Friday doesn't really work out for Annie because that's when the social worker is coming to do the house visit. But what is she going to say? "Nah, we can't do it that day. We need to reschedule." In all honesty, I don't think that Annie should have went. She could have stayed at home and dealt with that situation. And Ruby and Beth could have went and picked up the package. But of course, Annie's a ride or die, so she gonna go anyway. So now that they know what they have to do, it's time to figure out how they're gonna get to Canada. Can't use Annie's car because Annie's car's got the boot on it because she got way too many damn parking tickets. Ruby and Beth both use their cars to pick up the kids, so can't do that. So Annie comes up with the greatest idea. Let's just steal a car. And she already knows from where she wants to steal it. Beth is like, where are we going to get a car from? So they start singing the theme song to the Bolden dealership, which is the dealership that Dean, Beth's husband, owns. Beth ain't with it. She's like, "Nah, I can't do it." But what are the choices they have? So the night they go to steal the car, they get all these keys because they don't know which car they want to take. But while they still in the car, guess who's across the street lurking? Oh, Boomer nosy ass. Like, don't you have a life, Boomer? What the fuck are you doing? Why are you always stalking these girls? Are you that mad that Annie rejected you that you really need to make her life this miserable on and off the job? But of course they don't know that anybody sees them. So they go on about their business. While stealing cars, or trying to steal a car, Annie done made all the alarms go off on every car in the lot. Annie always doing something. Like, she don't think. Common sense is not her friend. But I like her. She's a ride or die. So I'm okay with her. I just need her to use her brain just a little bit more. The Sunday prior to them going to Canada, Stan and Ruby go to church. And Stan decides that it's time to give a testimony on everything that's going on in their life. He stands up and he tells the church that some generous soul has donated the money so that they can get the money for Sarah. He doesn't know who this soul is, but if the soul is in the church, he would like to tell that person thank you. All of a sudden, this lady named Sheila stands up and says, "It was me. I couldn't stand to see Sarah suffer, so I put the money in the account." The lies, the lies, the lies in my candy voice. Because we all know that Miss Sheila did not do that. And of course, that pisses off Ruby to the highest level of festivity because she knows that she stole the money and she put the money in the GoFundMe account. And she knows that Sheila wants her man. She is not going to have it. A little later on, they go back to church and Sheila gets a read from Ruby in front of the whole church that looks like a testimony. Now, mind you, I've been calling this man Carl for 2 reviews. The man's name is Stan. Y'all don't let me forget that the man's name is Stan. I think I called him Carl because his name was Carl on Mike and Molly. And that's where I remember him from. Now let's get to Canada. So the girls are now in line at the border crossing. Everything is going okay. But Beth does not want to be there. She's looking for a reason to turn around. She's telling the girls to tell her to turn around. But of course, nobody's telling her to turn around because they have to get this package so they can be done dealing with Sexy Local Gangster and move on with their regular lives. But all of a sudden, Ruby tells the girls that she's packing heat. They want to know why. I want to know why. Because they all seem so timid and so scary. So I don't think a gun was a good idea. But Ruby says she needs to be safe in another country. You never know what could happen. Well, they get across the border with ease. And they roll up to some craft supply store. They go to the back. Beth gets out. Tries to get the package. Comes back to the car empty-handed. Saying that the man told her that he didn't have no package for her. He didn't know where it was. So then Annie decides, let me go out here and talk to this man. What's his name? His name Big Mike. She talks to Big Mike, gives him some sob story about what if he had sisters and they were in a jam. He's like, look, like I told your friend, I don't have your package. She goes back to the car. So now Ruby's like, let me get out. So she pulls out the gun and she just pointing it willy-nilly all over the place. And she's like, look, I'm not gonna shoot him. I'm just gonna scare him. She gets out the car. Big Mike, let me talk to you for a minute. She points the gun down at the ground. Gun goes off. And she shoots Big Mike in the foot. You shot my pinky toe, you motherfucker. I know. It ain't have nothing to do with nothing. But that's my favorite scene in Harlem Nights. Sorry. Let's get back to what y'all really came here for. Now Big Mike on the ground screaming and hollering. But guess what? They got the package. Now it's time to go back home. Get in the car. Go back to the border. The lady says, let me see the receipt. They show them the receipt. Everything looks good. Now she's like, go to lane 3, search and seizure. And now the ladies are shook. I mean, they sweating bullets like hoes in church, okay? Because they don't know what the hell's going to happen. Search and seizure went cool. So now it's time to go back home for real, for real. They get back home. Beth is like, what in the hell is in here? So she decides to look because the boxes are already open from search and seizure anyway. She opens it up. And it's just wrapping paper. It's a boxes full of wrapping paper. So she tells the girls, look, it's just wrapping paper. And she opens the wrapping paper. So now, you know, just to see whatever is on the design. Annie and Ruby faces are like, oh my God. Beth is like, what? It's just wrapping paper. And they're like, no, it's not just wrapping paper. On the other side of the wrapping paper is counterfeit bills. And it's a whole lot of them. It's probably millions of dollars worth of counterfeit bills on all this wrapping paper. Now it's time to go drop off the boxes. So they go to some abandoned warehouse. Sexy Local Gangster got this whole factory set up. Beth says, are we done? You're not going to show up at my house anymore. We're done. We're good. He doesn't say anything. She's like, nah, look, I need you to say it. He's like, all right, we cool. So they leave. But if you look closely at Beth, she looks super, super intrigued by the fact that they were able to get that money that quick with no problem. Like, nobody suspected anything. So I think at this point, she's really, really interested in the counterfeit business. So the girls decide to go celebrate. While they're celebrating the fact that they got away with their lives and that was the easiest thing that they've ever had to do as far as committing crime, Beth decides, I need to call and check on my kids. So she calls Dean. And Dean tells her, look, we have a situation. The cops are here. The dealership got hit. Now, Beth is shook. So she has to go back and tell the girls, look, they know about the cars. What are we going to do? They leave, they go get in the car, and it's like, okay, we'll just drop the car off on the side of the road, let the cops come get it. They don't know it was us. We'll be okay. Go to turn on the car, and of course, Annie being Annie, then did some dumb shit. She sinks her car she syncs her phone, I'm sorry, to the car. And everybody's like, what the fuck? All of your information is now in this car. A car that we stole. So everything is synced. She's like, well, we can just unsync it. So she tries to unsync it. It doesn't work. Which I don't understand because you can't unsync your phone from a car. But I guess it has to work for storyline, right? They turn the car back on and it's still sunk. The phone is still sunk to the car. Or synced to the car. Sunk is not properly in the way I just used it. So now that they realized that they can't just abandon the car on the side of the road, Annie's like, let's torch it. You want to torch a car and during rush hour traffic? Like, that doesn't make any sense. Again, she doesn't use her brain that often. She don't think things through all the way. She just says whatever. She was the bad kid. I can tell. She was the one always causing trouble and ruckus. But anyway, they decide to sink the car in the river. While they're doing that, her phone rings, which is still synced to the car, and it's the social worker. So now Annie got to figure out how the hell she gonna get back home so she don't mess up this whole thing with the social worker. They sync the car, they go their separate ways. Annie gets home, social worker's already there, and Sadie's telling the social worker how great her mom is. They come up with this elaborate story on how she's always helping kids, and you know, she works with mentally disabled kids and cancer patients. So the visit's going great, but all of a sudden, social worker says, I need to check the bedroom. They go to check the bedroom, and Sadie puts her hand on the door, and you see that she has this big bandage wrapped around her finger, and it's bleeding. I mean, it's bleeding so bad that when she touches the door, the blood from the napkin is now on the door. So the social worker is like, did you leave her home? If this is a latchkey situation, I'm going to have to report you. Annie's freaking out. She's like, I don't leave her home often, but I had something, you know, that was really important that I had to do. The social worker was like, is it the kids with the cancer? And she's like, look, I got to get you to the hospital. But remember, her car got a boot on it. And Sadie's trying to whisper, your car has a boot. Your car has a boot. So now she's asking the social worker for a ride. They end up going to the hospital. She gets the stitches. When they come back home, Sadie's like, what were you doing? And Annie was like, I had something really, really important to do. And it broke my heart when Sadie said, what's more important than me? Because as a parent, nothing is more important than your children. Like I said earlier, knowing the situation and knowing that Annie had to be there for the social worker's visit, Ruby and Beth could have went by themselves. Because we don't know if her having to get stitches is going to affect the outcome of her getting custody of her daughter later on in the series. But let's move on. Annie goes back to work. Annie takes one of the fake bills to the job with her. I think she's trying to figure out if the fake bill will pass. All of a sudden, here comes Boomer with his nosy ass. And he demands the fake bill from Annie. And Annie was like, well, it feels a little crispy. He's like, well, let me see it. Let me see it. He takes the fake bill, and you know, he runs that pen that they use at the store to make sure that the bills aren't counterfeit. The bill passes the test. So he gives it back to Annie. He's like, well, good job for actually using the pen this time. So I think in her mind, she's thinking, we can get our hands on some of these counterfeit bills and we'll be okay. Because they're passing off as real. Ruby's at home, and she's realizing that they're on the last few pills of Annie's experimental medicine. Of Sarah's experimental medicine. Sorry. And she's silently wondering in her head, what are we going to do? How are we going to come up with money to, you know, get more medicine for my baby? Beth is at home. Beth presses him about the car and how much information that they really know if he can file a claim. He's like, no, I can't really file a claim. It takes too much time. She apologizes for what's going on. And Dean responds with, it's not your fault. If only he knew how much of her fault it really was. But later on, Beth goes back to the warehouse looking for sexy local gangster. Told y'all she was really intrigued. Warehouse is empty. Nothing is there. So she takes off her pearls and puts it on the door as a calling card. And she goes back home. Episode closes with Beth in the kitchen pouring her a glass of drink. Then we see sexy local gangster. And he says to Beth, "You know the tradition is Jordan's over a phone line, right?" And she replies, "I only had pumps." He says, "Fair enough." And then he asks what she wants to talk about. There's where the episode ends. What did you guys think of the episode? If you had a chance to watch it, what do you think about Beth's interest in the counterfeit business? Do you think the girls are going to decide to go into this business to help with their financial situation? What do y'all think about Annie never using her brain? Do you think Dean is coming back home? Y'all let me know what y'all think in the comments. Let's really discuss. I really like this show and I hope you guys enjoyed it as much as I have. If you haven't seen my other 2 reviews, I will put them up in the video so that you can check those out. Ciao, mama. Don't forget to subscribe. Love, peace, and potato chip free. Bye. Thanks for looking at my mommy's channel.